from the vault, high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hello, everybody, and welcome one more time to another wonderful, informative, and very educational podcast here at Talking Catholic. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing well. I'm glad that you used educational since we're going to be talking about schools for the next 54 minutes. That's great because I can't always guarantee that our podcasts are actually educational, even though that's how I intended them to be, but no guarantees. Sometimes I just rant for 30 minutes, and I don't know if that's necessarily educational. But,
well, that is what makes us Talking Catholic. We are such a, different podcast. We have different content every week, and it's kind of like, it's cool. One day is kind of like a lighter topic. Another day is educational. Other time is, so, that's what we're here to inform our.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, we've had a nice little break. As a matter of fact, next week's episode is going to be about the Rosary. So I, as someone like myself who is, I will admit, I'm not great with the Rosary. I learned a few new things on it, so I hope people will tune in next week as well. But this week we have an all-star panel of school leaders. So you want to go around the table and Marianela introduce everybody?
Sure. We want to welcome to our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. William Watson. Welcome, Dr. Watson. How are you today?
Thanks, Marianela. I'm doing great today. It's great to be here talking about schools again.
Yeah, people love to hear you in our diocese. It's very informative to have you here. So welcome one more time to another episode of Talking Catholic. And we also have with us Communication and Marketing Director, Beth Peabody, in our diocese. She actually is almost like a co-host of Talking Catholic. She comes very frequently. Right, Mike?
Yes. I pretty much won't have a schools one without her on it because, let's face it, as I often tell people, the communications people are the people who are always in the know, right, Mary Beth? We know everything that's going on.
We like to hope so.
Happy to have you, Mary Beth. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
We also would like to welcome Patti Paulson, who is the principal at Holy Angels School in Woodbury. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be a part of Catholic school and education, and I love the children. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And to hear more of a high school perspective today, we have with us Joe Cray from Wildwood Catholic Academy, our newly formed academy. So we're happy to have you here with us, Joe. Welcome.
Thank you, Marianela, and thank you, Mike. Very happy to be here. And thank you for letting me join this panel today. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but you asked Dr. Watson how he's doing. It's Friday that we're recording this right now, so I think we're all in a wonderfully positive mood right now. So thank you for letting me join the team here.
No, thanks for joining us. And you're absolutely right. We're recording this on Friday afternoon. It's going to go up in just a couple of days. And it's a rarity because I've been trying to record these things ahead of time. So these will be practically in real time. So everything you're hearing today is the current state of schools in South Jersey right now, which actually is a perfect lead into my question, Bill. How are the state of Catholic schools in South Jersey right now as we reopen for 5 days a week schooling?
I think the state of things is joyful. And I think we were seeing in students a desire to be back and a happiness and a joy at being back to school that, you normally see in the beginning of the year as they come back and they see their friends and that sort of thing. But, they're back and that's being sustained so far in the schools, both in the elementary schools and the high schools. I mean, I've heard from a number of high school principals just how excited the kids are to be back, and that's really exciting to me as well. In addition to being joyful, I would say, although these are not two words that you would normally think of together, I would say the things are vigilant in the schools. So if there's a joyful vigilant or a vigilant joy, I'm not quite sure how that would.
I would like that to be the only way we do that. Nice joyful vigilance. I love that. Let's coin that. That's your new motto.
Joyful vigilance. Yeah, joyful I like vigilance. It because we see, all the students, all of the teachers, everybody in the schools are wearing masks all day. And they are also usually behind a desk barrier, which is a clear barrier on their desk that adds an additional layer of protection. Their desks are further apart. They're keeping apart when they're passing each other in the hallways, even on the playground. And so this is the vigilant part of things. And our principals prepared long and hard for the safety preparations. Brand new procedures for coming into school, for car lines, because kids have to be further apart from each other as they enter the school. Their temperatures have to be taken. And so there was a lot there operationally and logistically that could, that was kind of up in the air until it actually happened. And I would say, sure, there's troubleshooting and a few hiccups in the beginning, but all the principals have told me, that's one of the brightest spots right now is, number one, how smooth the operational changes we've made are to enhance and increase student safety and health, and how much the students and the teachers and the parents are participating in those measures. So that's the joyful vigilance. And I think people are vigilant and willing to sort of do the additional take the additional safety precautions that we've put in place because they want to be in school. And they, for those who are there, they want to be there, and they know that if we would like to continue to be here, this is what we have to do. We have to continue to take these steps so that we keep each other healthy.
And, it's the truth of the matter is there is a realistic nature of what the schools are, the new normal that the schools are existing in. And we know that, and this is something you and all the principals have really planned for, is when COVID does reach our doors. And this past week in the Catholic Star Herald, actually this week, in the Catholic Star Herald, there's an article, and in it you relate some of the stats related to how COVID has come into our schools and how the schools are dealing with them. Can you kind of go through that a little bit?
Sure. So again, one of the biggest reasons why we are so vigilant about all of these new safety measures is so that if COVID is in the school, that we greatly reduce the likelihood that it's going to spread within the school. So we have had in high schools and elementary schools combined 7 cases of COVID so far. And to just give you a sense of, so that's 7 members of the school community. And we're talking here about the high schools, our one K-12 Academy, Wildwood Catholic, and the 21 elementary schools that are not in the Catholic Partnership schools. That's about 8,000 people with staff and students combined. And in almost every one of those cases, through the contact tracing with the health departments, their belief is that those are cases that were contracted outside of school. That said, if you're in school, and if you were in school before you knew you tested positive for COVID, then you could have had it while you were in school. And so we've taken the additional precaution of putting into quarantine 79 other members of the school community. Now, that's spread across 25 different schools. So we have, across those schools, that many students and or teachers who have been quarantined, and that's as the additional precaution, just in case the individual who has COVID was contagious and able to spread it. That just in case those people who are closest to that person or those people are now out of school and in the case of students learning remotely. And that's really, again, to just kind of underscore when we do have cases that are in the school, wearing the mask is a huge step towards mitigating the spread of the virus. And we also mitigate it with washing hands and using hand sanitizer very, very frequently, and the sneeze guards and keeping apart from 6 feet. So all of these things are right now, it looks like they're going well so far. So we have not seen in those cases that have been quarantined, where students have been quarantined because of someone in the school had COVID. We have not seen additional cases so far, and that's very promising because that tells us that the precautions we're taking to reduce and mitigate the spread of COVID are working in the school. So, with that many people every day, coming in and out of the building and being in class and learning and, and so forth, that's, I think, very promising for it's to their great credit. I think that they are being as vigilant about the procedures we have in place, but it's also, I think, very promising for the future.
I would concur. I think that's a wonderful state of affairs. Because that's always been my, it wasn't, something you had talked about for the lead up to everything was making sure that we were not only prepared to be open, but prepared to stay open. And I know that's something that each of the principals have worked pretty hard at. Patti, as a matter of fact, let's have a little boots on the ground conversation about that. So how has it been at Holy Angels in Woodbury for you, your staff, and the students?
So basically, I know when we started preparing back in June, and I was amazed at all the meetings that we had and all the preparation. And at times I actually thought, wow, we're really going overboard here. But now that I see the results of it, Bill was right on target. And we are so prepared, and I'm so shocked at how resilient the kids are. They walk in with their masks. I don't think in the 2 weeks we've been here, I've had to tell one child to put a mask on. I may have had one come in without one and we hand it to them, but the kids, it's just like part of their everyday routine now. They're eating at their desk. They have their masks on other than when they're eating. Recesses, I mean, we were so prepared, and I'm so amazed at the children and how they adapted. So I'm really happy. The procedures here are working like a fine oiled machine.
What do you think is the reason why the kids have been so sort of okay with these things? Is it the teachers explaining to them the importance of keeping their mask on? Is it at home, the principal? What do you think is sort of
I think number one, a lot of the parents that I talked to in August, they started putting masks on the kids because they wanted to prepare them. I mean, even in kindergarten, the kids are wonderful with it. The parents prepared them. The teachers reinforced it. The kids were so happy to see each other. I think if you would have told them if they had to do different, they were so happy to be back in school. The mask is, and at Holy Angels, we allow them to wear rainbows and unicorns, and they're happy with their mask. They're happy with their little mask, and it's part of their routine. Just like the shields on the desks, they act like they're not even there.
That's great.
So they're doing the teachers, I can't say enough for the teachers. They totally reinforced it. And the kids have it's become like their routine.
How about you, Joe? How about down in the beautiful shore community of Wildwood? How are things going in your K through 12?
Well, our pre-K through 12, it's going phenomenally. And Patti, and you could probably echo this. All the meetings that Bill started organizing back in April to prepare for this, really got us to this point. And personally, for me and for our school, I received a boatload of help from all the other high school principals because at the time we were going through the time of merging our two schools together and and opening up as a pre-K through 12 academy. So with that being said, there was a lot of focus on that. And then when the shift of focus, when that focus had to shift to what we had to do to open our doors, I really relied a lot on my colleagues, my colleague principals. I let them know during our meetings, our focus just shifted to this, and I'm going to need some additional help. And like they always do, they really stepped up and and helped us out. So yeah, I'm sure everybody can speak to this, but the weeks leading up to day one, opening day, I know we're on the radio, but if I had a head of hair, I would have lost it then anyway. I hadn't slept, in 2 weeks. And then day one finally came, and we phased our students in methodically to get used to the logistics and to the program. So bringing in small groups at a time by new students in the building, the pre-K and the grade 9s, and then phasing them, halfway through the alphabet. And every day and every morning we were just prepared, and then we were looking forward to the next day. And then finally to that next day where we had the 100% of our population in, and everything was going well. It was going as planned, and we were saying, okay, well, what's going to happen when this day finally does come? Everyone's walking in, and it went as planned.
That's great.
And it really was. It was a shift of what we've been teaching ourselves, even logistically, in the last couple of years of so many points. But even take safety, for instance. Over the last couple of years, safety has been a primary focus of all schools nationwide. We were fortunate enough to reduce the number of our school entrances down to 2 over the last couple of years. And, due to COVID, we had to reopen doors, this year and really reprogram what mornings and afternoons look like so we can socially distance the students coming into our building. So that didn't just mean, unlocking certain doors. It meant reassigning roles to, our staff members, our teachers who have all stepped up. So, it was really a shift, and it had to happen very quickly, and it took a lot of planning. And thanks to everyone on our Catholic schools, team, we really, stepped up to the plate and nailed it. So now we're here at the end of our, third week, our second full week. And, we couldn't be more, we couldn't be happier with the progress we've made. And, I think it was Bill or Mike that you mentioned, it's kind of like a daily troubleshoot. It's a constant reassessment and reevaluation to look at how things are, how things were done today, and to, just keep adjusting as needed until you get to that point where, it's very close to perfect.
Yeah. When it's impressed me, and this comes as being a parent of a 7th grader in one of our schools, is how quickly everything seemed to become normalized. The something you had mentioned a little earlier, Patty, is that the kids are more interested in the flamboyance of their masks than the fact that they have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised at just how easily my son fell into that, and I'm delighted. I'm curious, in your schools in particular, have you seen that sort of like, we all had a bit of anxiety at the very beginning. Have you seen everybody sort of fall into, and I don't mean to make this sound like anyone's being lax, but I mean that the people have kind of gotten very comfortable with the new normal?
I honestly, I just came out of lunch duty with 1st grade, and it's a joy to see the children laughing and talking to each other, what's going on in the weekend. And another situation, I just had an 8th grade boy that I had to discipline. And to me, that's so normal. And I was so happy. He came into the office and we were talking, and I'm like, wow, school is back. Yep. And I was happy to just have a conversation with him and ask him to get it together a little bit, because this was his warning. But it's normal school, which is wonderful.
Now that you mentioned the discipline aspect, I would like Mary Beth to touch a little bit on that. Like she's been working very closely with the schools, and one of the things that has come up as a positive thing that is happening due to COVID is discipline. Can you talk a little bit about that, Mary Beth?
Yeah, sure. I was actually at Our Lady of Hope this morning talking to the principal there, Liz Martino, and talking to a mom who's helping out with the car drop off. And Liz was saying, she said, like, we don't have any discipline problems. It's kind of wild. She said, first of all, they're all so happy to be back that they just want to be here. And so that was part of it. And then she said, they've made some changes, like there are fewer people in the hallway, so they're not punching each other or banging into each other as they go down the hall. And there are fewer kids at recess because they take them out in smaller groups. And she said, it's been great because they're really playing out there. It used to be the older kids would just sort of hang out, but now they're playing soccer. And because there are fewer, it's no more boys playing over here, girls playing there. They're getting together and playing co-ed soccer. She said it's a very different dynamic, and lots of it is very positive. But she was kind of joking about lack of discipline, like nothing. So Pat, you might be jealous that you had one,
Who was that?
I can assure you, it's a regular school year in those ways. The things that come up are coming up, and I can assure you too, just as a parent, and Mike, like you, my kids are, coming home from school with homework and talking about their school day and the things that happen, and this friend said this and they did that, and they're, I think that the way that Patty and Joe have described, and Mike, you mentioned, I think sort of it's been normalized in the school buildings that, these are the things that we have to do this year in order to be here as a community, which everybody wants to be. And I think one of the other things that, we haven't mentioned yet, is that we do have students who are not in the classrooms, right? So we have students whose families chose for them to continue as remote learners. And that's, by their choice. Either they had concerns about, health situations of the student or someone in the family, or they just weren't ready yet for that to be in the space. And they are, I have to really hand it to the teachers, because the teachers have done an outstanding job of welcoming those students into the community as much as they can. So they're live in the classroom in with Zoom or Google Meet or some other technologies, and the teachers are advancing and ramping up their use of learning management systems. Many people are familiar with Google Classroom. There are others that are in place in the schools where they're kind of digital assignments and collection of assignments. And so that is, for those students who are learning at home, we're really trying to maximize that sense of being a part of the community as well. And I have to give, I have to say, and Patty and Joe see this, every day, how that is an incredible effort on the part of the teachers. So just to do that, to balance at the same time the students who are in the classroom and those who are on the screen, so to speak, and to get up and running with that in 3 short weeks is just a phenomenal testament to the passion of the teachers to do right by their students. And like anything else, I think as I've observed and talked with a few principals, it gets smoother every day. There are still challenges. It's still tiring. And it's to the great credit of the teachers that they are doing that day by day, step by step, and it's getting smoother each day for the kids who are in school, the kids who are on remote learning, and the teachers who are really the centerpiece of bringing those groups together.
Joe and Patty, that's an interesting question, because when I first heard that the schools were going to go full time, but if you wanted to do remote learning for your child, that was going to be available, and you were going to be able to do it simultaneously. My first question was, how are the teachers going to do that? So I asked Joe, how are your teachers doing that?
Good question,
remotely
Mike.
and in person simultaneously.
I can answer that in 2 words, very carefully. But yeah, so there is a lot of thought, obviously, behind that, behind the question and the work that went into it. Currently, with our school, our numbers from pre-K to grade 12 are about 11% virtual. We're seeing more of the number of students that are virtual at the lower levels. And then we had all those names, and we had all that information prepared prior to. So, the big question is, how does it get done? How does it look like? What does it look like in the classroom? And and, are we having success with it? So going back to the first part is, you need to have, or your building and structure and hardware, really needs to be prepared and up to speed to handle, work like this. So in the summer, preparing for this, we're going through a network upgrade in our building, and we were able to do this with the help of the CARES Act funding, which is able to increase all the access points in our building and increase the speed of internet in our building. So there's a couple different phases that we had to go through, which we are still currently working on, until today. So the other piece of that is, once you have all of that in place, then it's the teachers who are doing the, really carrying the weight in educating, let's say, 20 students in their classroom in front of them and 6 at home, and trying to keep that balance of, having that face-to-face interaction all day long, with the exception of maybe when they go outside for a recess or what have you. So it's been going really well in the first couple of weeks. The first 4 days, I'm going to be honest with you, there was a lot of glitches in the system that I'm sure you'll hear nationally. And like you mentioned a minute ago, it just seems to get better and better, every day. One really important piece is just the communication, in between the teachers and families at home, whether it's before, during, or after the school day. How did things go for your student at home? Where were the some areas of improvement that we should recognize, and then just making those little tweaks or adjustments. It's really neat, honestly, looking into a classroom and there's 4 students' faces up on the screen, and the rest of the kids are in the classroom. And there's live interaction happening there. So it's incredibly new. It happened so quickly, but it was just the preparation of this whole summer long, and taking what we learned from March to June, and taking that time frame into mind and seeing, making the adjustments from that time frame and saying, what could we do better now that we have a couple months to prepare for a situation like this.
Well, that's great. And Patti, what about you? How are your teachers?
Basically, my teachers are doing a phenomenal job, but I had a wonderful example this morning. I usually walk around and say good morning to each of the classes. It's a nice little small school, and I walked into 3rd grade, and Stacy Colon had her kids on this. I think there were 4 of them that are remote, and they were in uniform, which I was so impressed. A couple of them were sitting at a desk, and we do the flag salute and the prayers together virtually, but she also did it in her classroom, and a child at home was holding the flag today. And all the kids stood up, and we saluted the flag so he was such a part of, and then someone else at home led the prayers. And I was just so impressed that they were all saying the prayers and the flag salute together. And the kids at home had the same experience as the kids. And I have to say that this is not an easy task that our teachers are doing, but they are doing a phenomenal job. And the children at home are being made a part of the classroom. Yesterday, Father Brierly came over, and he was saying hi to the remote kids at home on the computer. So we're doing the best we can. We worked really hard to prepare, and the teachers are doing a phenomenal job.
Is there any part of you as Catholic school leaders that's really, really excited about seeing what, Catholic school leaders and teachers are able to do during this such a difficult situation in time? Like, you would not have never probably expected this in your careers, and now you're making history.
I am so proud of my school and my teachers and the phone calls that I get from parents. And lately I've gotten calls from parents that want to enroll their children in the schools because their children are at home. And I've had parents in tears, because what is happening with children today is very difficult. And putting them in school and teaching them is such a good thing for the kids. That's where kids belong. They need to learn in school. And that's in my heart. And I feel that the Catholic schools are doing a tremendous job with it.
Yeah. I definitely noticed the change in my own son. The 3 months of remote learning where everybody was out of the school, that there was some difficulty with them, particularly since there wasn't the same kind of virtual teaching that's going on now in the classroom. And I really do think that the way you guys have worked this out is in a way that's been very effective for the stay-at-home or the remote learning student. We toured a couple of schools, Bill, myself, and Bishop Sullivan. And much like Father Byerly did when he visited, when Bishop Sullivan was visiting a couple of schools, he made a point to always say hello to the kids that were at home and make sure that they felt like they were incorporated. And the thing that surprised me was just, I got to say, you said, I think Joe might have said this, that the teachers are trying to learn how to be both in person and work with their remote learning students. But I was impressed by how apparently effortlessly that the teachers have actually come to that. As a matter of fact, I even saw one of the teachers reprimand one of the virtual students. I was like, wow, you can even reprimand virtually. This is wonderful. I love it. So going back to
that's real school.
The normalcy of it. It's so wonderful. I wanted to bring Mary Beth back into the conversation because she's been doing reporting on the schools across South Jersey since all of this happened, with a lot of reporting. If you want to read any of her stuff, it's all in the Catholic Star Herald, and it's excellent. So I'm kind of curious, Mary Beth, as someone who has sort of been to a lot of these schools and heard about a lot of what's going on, are there other examples that you've come across that our listeners might want to know something about that's going on?
Well, there's a pretty big range in how many remote learners are in different schools. So most of them are in the smaller percentages, but we have a couple schools that have quite a large percentage of remote learners. It just, that's what's working in their community. So that seems to be different. I've heard a lot of great comments about parent volunteers, parent cooperation, parent support, parent appreciation. Just couldn't do this without our parents. Like when I was at Our Lady of Hope this morning, they have a core team of parents who are out in the parking lot every morning doing drop-off.
Wow.
And they've got, a few staff people out there and then parents, and they're hoping to increase that group so that they can get more parents doing that. But they've got one parent does the temperature check, and then you pull up and the next parent is there while you get out of your car. And I spoke to another school today that was telling me about when they got their sneeze guards in, they were really down to the wire waiting for them to come in. And so they got sort of a big group of people to come in and assemble them. And she said it was almost all new parents who they didn't even really know. And they were the ones who came and helped assemble the sneeze guards. And she said it was just fabulous because they got to know these parents, and the parents were now so happy to be there. So one of the things I heard somewhere along the line is that some of the parents who are known to maybe be more vocal about things in the past are not. They've just been really effective.
You're just happy to have the kids there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they are. That's what somebody said to me. The parents are just so happy to have their kids back in school.
And I also
the ones
think
who made that choice, the ones who are happy, and it's working. I also got to talk to a couple students today, and they told me that they both said to me, I did not even mention the word mask. One was a 6th grader, one was a 7th grader, and they both said to me, because I guess I asked them, kind of what you were expecting versus reality, and they both said, oh, we thought the mask would be terrible. I don't even know I have it on anymore. I thought I wouldn't be able to understand my teacher. I haven't missed a word. And like I said, I didn't even bring up the M word. But they both offered that without asking. And then a mother that I was talking to said, yeah, my biggest concern was the mask. And like, my kids are so over it.
Yeah.
It's not issue. It is not their issue. They are completely unfazed by it. So,
I have a kindergartner and Resurrection, and she forgets to take her mask off. Like she's home and she comes and it's like, why do you have your mask on? She's like, Mom, I'm protecting myself.
Good for
Protecting
her.
myself from you, Mom.
Yeah. I don't know where you've been all day, Mom, but I'm going to protect myself.
Yeah, I'm a lector in my parish, and when you go to the altar, you have to take your mask off. And she's like, Mom, why are you taking your mask off? Don't remember to put it on, and it's just so incredible. We think about kids and we worried about the things they would do and how they would react. And, they can surprise us just like they're doing with the mask. So we're grateful for that.
Yeah.
I'll agree, Mary Beth. It was, really on the high, not priority, but it was on the top of our list, in the beginning of August when the governor changed or implemented, that the rule of being inside of a school building, folks need to have their mask on all day because we had it written into our plans. Patty, you probably did as well. At some point during the day, the little ones, being behind the sneeze guard, were able to take that off, and we did as well. And then we had to change that in our plan. And our concern obviously was just going to be, what's the feedback going to be from families? What's the pushback going to be? And we just communicated that early in August when that shift, or when that change happened. Really just to kind of let families know, all right, now we got to start preparing or maybe training your child to put on a mask more often. And then when school started, it was almost a non-issue across the board. It was Marianela, like you said, kind of surprising from everyone, from the smallest to the seniors in high school. It was like that wasn't an issue. The issue was, okay, we have to walk down the set of stairs in this direction instead of the other direction. They had to get used to that more than actually wearing a mask. So, and Bill, you mentioned participation. Definitely, huge cogs in a wheel of participation are the teachers and the students, but the parents. If we didn't have their participation, if we didn't have them helping us at every level. Even in communication, Patty. So you mentioned you had to talk to a student today. I'm sure at some point, if you had to talk to him or her again, or maybe even today, you'd communicate with the parent, and then you get that support. You get that participation, which down here at Wildwood Catholic Academy, the participation has been phenomenal. We just had so many people reaching out to us, especially at the end of the summer. Like you said, just helping us. Just putting it out there. What do you guys need? What do you need us to do? We're going to come together and make this happen, and we're going to open our schools successfully.
And I find that the parents are happy. And we have over 40 new families. So we're trying to integrate those families into our family to become one. And when the children are dismissed at the end of the day, we dismiss them slowly so that they're socially distanced, and the parents are all waiting on the greens by the Blessed Mother. And it just fills my heart when they walk out and all the parents are so happy that the kids are coming out of school happy. And they still have their masks on and they run in their parents' arms. And it's really, I'm going to video it one day. It's a beautiful sight. I'm so happy that we're all here in school.
Mary Beth and myself in particular, we follow all of or as many as we can anyway, but probably close to all of the schools in the diocese on social media. And that's the thing that's been really kind of hit home with me is just, going back to that, how we started this thing with talk of joyfulness, is that people are just genuinely enjoying themselves. And the added wrinkle this year that I've seen a lot of schools doing is outdoor learning. So they'll have, because I remember growing up as a small child of the 70s and early 80s. I mean, we all would beg our teachers, can we have class outside on that first spring day? And they always said no. And now we're kind of encouraging it. I'm like, this is wonderful. This is outstanding.
It's lovely.
Excited for them. It really is.
And Mike, we are down here at the beach, so everyone has a beach towel. And actually, for a lot of our younger students, that was one of their school supplies this year, to bring a beach towel. I should have took a video of it today. Students outside on our lawn area, further than 6 feet apart with their beach towels spread out and eating their lunch, in the fresh air. It was
all right. Now I'm just
really
jealous.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about the hula hoops bus breaks. That's all happening in our schools. It's so much fun. That's all my daughter talks about. I needed a break. Hula hoop.
And we have a new music teacher, Jen Dries, and she is phenomenal. The kids have yoga mats. I looked out the other day. They were under a tree on their yoga mats. She's playing the guitar, and they're all singing. Unbelievable.
See, that's, they always say that, during tragedy, these wonderful things can happen. And I'm very pleased to see that that's the case this year.
Sure.
Now, Joe, you had sort of an additional hurdle to jump over this year, because in April, this is, it was public knowledge, it was announced that the Wildwood Catholic High School and its adjacent elementary school, Cape Trinity, were going to be closing this year. And the good people of Wildwood, and yourself included, and the communities of those two schools really rallied around the schools. And in the summertime, or just before summer, I guess, it was announced that those two schools will be closing, but they'd be reopening as a K through 12 named Wildwood Catholic Academy. So I'm curious, Joe, how is that process going for you?
Yes. So that was definitely a process, Mike, and we've been working on it over the last year and a half of bringing our two schools together. And, during that time frame, from April to June, it was actually June 4th, the morning right after our seniors graduated, that we got the news that we were reopening, and we couldn't have been, happier. The community exploded with excitement. So that time frame from April on, it just, you saw the strength in the Catholic community down here. And that community, extends further than just Wildwood and the surrounding area of Cape May County. We have alumni everywhere. We have folks that come down the shore and visit our parish of Notre Dame de la Mer and support Catholic education. So we really did have a lot of backing. And throughout the process, the Office of Catholic Schools and Bishop Sullivan, really supported our mission. So when I mentioned earlier in the recording here that I really relied on the help of Bill and the other high school principals, because we had to shift gears from saving the school. At that time when other schools were focusing on COVID, late April and throughout the month of May. And then once we got the announcement, yep, we're good to go and we're good to open the doors. Then we had to shift gears to start thinking about and primarily focus on COVID and what we're going to do. So I cannot thank my colleague principals enough and Bill Watson to help us get through that process. So Mike, long story short, it's been an incredible process. You needed a lot of energy to get through these last 6 months. Everyone did. Yeah. And everyone in our community, really stepped up. We're just so happy. We couldn't be happier right now. And, with that announcement of us opening, we knew that a lot of work also needed to begin that day. It's a continual process, but we're so excited to be here as the first pre-K through 12 academy. It's just so exciting. There's a fresh energy down here. Patty, you mentioned you have many new families, as do we. A lot of folks have moved from Philadelphia and surrounding areas, and even areas in New Jersey and New York, to their either their second home down at the shore, or they just got up and moved down here. And their livelihoods have changed. They have changed from being wherever they are to being online, and they found a new home in Cape May County, and we are here with our doors open to accept them, their children, their friends, anyone you can think of.
Well, I used to work in the Wildwood area. I started out my career as a reporter in the Wildwood area, and so I will tell you, my heart was broken a little bit when I was the one forced to make that announcement in mid-April. But it made me even happier when I could start supporting you guys as the new Wildwood Catholic Academy. And honestly, the community of Wildwood and the outlying areas, as well as your alumni, deserve a ton of credit, including yourself, by the way. I don't mean to suggest otherwise, but I was really impressed by the way that the community came together and in such a positive way. Sometimes things like that can generate a lot of negative feelings. But the people of Wildwood, the alumni, the students, I read some of their letters. It was beautiful. It was genuinely a beautiful situation. So I couldn't be happier for you, for the students, for the alumni, and for the community that Catholic education is going to remain in Wildwood for years and years to come. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Patti, and I used to live in Woodbury, Patti, where your school is located, and you guys moved semi-recently up the road into the school in Woodbury, and I love that it used to be St. Patrick's Elementary School, and that is, I love the fact that there are now school children back in that school, because that's a great facility that I used to play softball at all the time in my younger days when I could still run, and that's a great area. And your new pastor is a friend of mine. He actually officiated the wedding of my wife and I. And Father Joseph Byerly, he's a treat. You'll truly enjoy him.
He's tremendous. And also, as a child, I went to St. Bridget's, and we played basketball against St. Pat. But we were rivals. So I'm happy to be. Yeah.
That's wonderful, Patty. That's wonderful. Mary Beth, we talk about some of the good news that's come out at these two schools. Unrelated to COVID, I have to imagine there's been some good things going on in our schools around the diocese as well. Anything particularly notable that you'd like to tell the listeners about?
This was a really quiet week. I think everybody is really just getting back into being in school. I mean, anybody I've talked to said they're really back in academically, homework, kind of, I don't
know if I'd agree with you. That St. Teresa story is a
as
great
usual.
story.
No, I was going to get there, but that was more of that story tied back into the community and family. And I did have the great pleasure this week of going to St. Teresa in Runnymede with Dave Hernandez, who is a photojournalist with the Star Herald. Dave's also a former firefighter and has lots of friends in that world. So he got a fire truck and climbed up and got to take a picture of this incredible mural that St. Teresa has in their parking lot. And it's actually part of a community project, Reimagine Runnymede. And a local artist designed this mural for them, but it is literally the world with the continents and the oceans and 9-foot people all around it. And they brought every student out, every teacher, principal, everybody who works there all got out and were more than their needed 6 feet apart distance, standing on top of the world. And we have had, last time I checked, we had 8,700 reaches on our Facebook page with that photo, something like shares. I mean, we just don't get, it is going certainly beyond just the Catholic schools community. It's a beautiful photograph. And something that was really neat about that was they spent the summer painting it, and people would just come and go painting it, families. So it really gave people something to do during this summer that was safe and outside. And they did a fabulous job, but they would post pictures kind of all summer long of, you people here and there, just maybe a family would be coming up and painting a red child or an orange child. So it was a really neat project. And
did you get to go on the truck?
Excuse me?
Did you get to go on the truck, Mary Beth?
I did not climb the truck. I didn't have the right shoes for it. I'm sure I would have, but yeah, it was about the shoes, Marianela.
Oh, of course.
Gotcha.
So,
no, that's a great photo, and definitely check out South Jersey Catholic Schools Facebook page to see that there, and you can also see it on the front cover of the Catholic Star Herald this weekend on the newspaper. It is an absolute treat, and I will admit that as a photojournalist myself, I'm quite jealous of when other photojournalists get to do cool stuff. So I'm going to kneecap Dave the next time that happens, so I get the job. So I don't know what I was thinking. Bill, sort of as we're starting to wrap up here in the last 5 minutes of our podcast, kind of looking ahead at the rest of the school year. I know we're going to be focused on, staying safe and staying healthy. But are you anticipating continued returns to normalcy as the school year progresses?
Sure, as much as we can. One thing that comes to mind is next week is a celebration of the Blue Mass, which is going to be done virtually. And we will have student participation and in the Blue Mass as usual. So we have students from every one of our schools who will be attending Mass virtually, and they won't be there in person, but the organizers of the Mass promised to have the same pomp and circumstance as usual, and obviously in honor of the police forces and those who serve and protect us in those capacities. And so it's great to be able to do that, and then also to be able to reach out. I mean, we also, schools, some of the younger kids are writing cards and letters and things to their local police and fire and emergency services, and those make a big difference. We've heard back from them that they make a huge difference. It's another great connection that the schools have to their communities. So we're going to keep trying to do those things, keep those traditions in place, and keep taking things, sort of on the one hand, taking things one day at a time, appreciating every day as a gift. And on the other hand, looking forward to continuing to grow our communities the way we always have.
That's wonderful. And thank you for the promotion of the Blue Mass. I will be the one, myself and John Kalis will be live streaming that. So by all means, it's not just for school kids if you're listening. And by all means, go on the Diocesan YouTube page, our Facebook page, our Twitter account on the 29th, on Tuesday the 29th. I believe it's at 10:30 in the morning. And you can check out that mass. It's one of the nicest masses of the year. It's one of the most beautiful masses in the year, just to see all the different first responders there in full uniform. And there's a moment in the mass that I encourage people to take part in, is when they read the names of the honored dead. It's a very moving and touching moment, and I hope people will avail themselves of it. So make sure you check that out. So as we wrap up, any final thoughts, Patty and Joe? Any last comments?
I'd just like to thank everyone for all their support. And I cannot say enough, if Dr. Watson did not help us prepare, none of this would be happening. He's amazing.
He is amazing. You're right.
I second that, Patty. I second that. And I do want to say to everyone listening, our students are praying for you. We're keeping you in our thoughts and prayers. Please continue to pray for us and support us in our mission in Catholic education. And for all those listening who have students that are, and family members, friends, sons and daughters that you're still thinking of, what is the best option for my child? Consider your local Catholic school. We are open. We're here 5 days a week. It's wonderful meeting new families. So, keep us in mind for an option. Thank you.
Yeah. And let's face it, one of the reasons why I think Catholic schools are going to be able to do a better job, I shouldn't say a better job, one of the reasons Catholic schools are going to be able to do such an effective job at being able to reopen is because Catholic schools have a sense of discipline in them. Right, Dr. Watson? And that's one of the things we rely on is, that attention to detail.
Yes, sort of a sense of discipline, attention to detail. And I also, we have a commitment to values and a commitment to each other. And so that is, people choose to be in Catholic schools. Families choose Catholic schools for their children. And they do, I think that brings a level of commitment to school and to the community and to each other that is unique. And so that combination of shared values and choice of a community give rise to the kind of discipline that makes it necessary for us to continue to be back in school every day.
Thank you so much to Mary Beth Peabody, Dr. Bill Watson, Joe Cray, and Patti Paulson for being here with us today. We know you're busy people, and we really appreciate your time at Talking Catholic. It was really nice to be with you today, Mike, too.
Good to see you. And yeah, don't forget, go to southjerseycatholicschools.org to learn more. Have a good week, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.